The days where people who steal a pen or things that amount to 5 Ghana cedis were sent to prison for 5 years or 10 years are over. Why? Because now, if you commit a crime of which the punishment is 3 years or less, you will no longer be sent to prison or to Sawam to just go meet with the hardened criminals and waste your life there. You will now be given the opportunity to perform community services that benefit the community of which you reside. In this video, I want to share with you all you need to know about the Community Service Bill of 2026, the law that has been passed by Parliament of Ghana on July 8, 2026, and will soon be assented to by the President to become a law that will regulate our lives and how particularly the courts of Ghana punish people for certain offenses. I am Godwin Selassie Dapo, and this is Make It Legal.
Make it legal.
So what began sometime in 2014 as a collaboration between UNICEF and the Ministry of Interior has now been given a green light by the Parliament of Ghana by the passage of the law which is now called the Community Service Bill. Of course, when it is passed, it will soon be called Community Service Act of 2026. In 2014, they referred to it as a non-custodial sentencing bill. But now the name has changed to be Community Service Bill. What is this bill about, or what is this law all about? Why do we need such a law? 3 main reasons that have been given by the Ministry of Interior, government agency that sponsored this bill. 1, the bill seeks to ensure that government reduces its financial burden on prisoners or inmates. Government is saying that they spend quite a lot of money to feed and maintain prisons all across the country because too many people are going to prison for sometimes very small offenses, or what we might call minor offenses. The law will call it misdemeanors. So government thought that if we should reduce the cost of money we spend on prisoners, it means there should be fewer people in those prisons. But the question I ask is, how much is government actually spending on the feeding of prisoners? The figures show that before 2025, government was paying 1 cedi 80 pesos per day on each prisoner, which is so small, and that is for 3 square meals. What the prisoner will eat morning, afternoon, and evening is to be taken care of by 1 cedi 80 pesos. Fortunately, it has been changed now to a better figure, but not so good for any reasonable person to use as his feeding fee in Ghana. It is now 5 cedis per inmate. What it means is that government is saying that even the 5 cedi they are spending is a lot of money, so they have to reduce the financial burden on government to take care of these prisoners because they are a lot. The second reason is that government wants to decongest the prisons. There is overcrowding in all the prisons across the country. From all the regions, they are all crowded. Approximately every prison is taking about 38 to 48% of its usual capacity. So they have extra people added to the number it ought to take. You see some of these videos where people are crowded in the prison. You go see, Charlie, they are sleeping on each other. You have to sleep on the floor. I sleep by your side. And then a friend sleep at the leg side. Somebody's at the head side. You can imagine what happened in the night if somebody farts or somebody, wants to get up and go use the washroom. It's such a congested environment. So government wants to reduce the crowding, wants to decongest the prison by ensuring that every convicted person does not necessarily end up in that custody. Of course, the third reason is to ensure that people receive proper rehabilitation when they are convicted and sentenced to prison. I have a colleague who called to inform me some time ago about a case we've done together. Now, this is a case where the guy was kept in prison custody or on remand for close to a year because bail was granted by the court and conditions were set for them to comply with. Unfortunately, he could not get the sureties who have the financial means to, come and stand in for him to fulfill the bail conditions in order to go home. So he was kept in remand at Sawam, awaiting the completion of his trial. All the days and months he's been there, he's learned the ways of the criminals. He's been with the hardened criminals because he was kept at the same place with them, as if he's also committed a crime. So my colleague told me that now that he's come back from the remand and he's home on bail, the family cannot contain him because his character and behavior has just changed. He's appeared to be a hardened criminal already, even though he's not yet been convicted and sentenced to prison. How much more those who have been convicted and sent to prison and they are there going to spend years and years there. So it's a problem that people must be rehabilitated properly. So the environment helps in the rehabilitation side. I think for some of these legitimate concerns, the bill is a welcome initiative. Let's delve into the very details of the bill. What is the purpose of the bill? What is the object of the bill? Fundamentally, the bill is to do two things: is to establish a national community service secretariat within the country at a national level that will coordinate all community service issues through their regional community service committee and the district community service committees. And the bill is also seeking to provide for community service as an alternative punishment for minor offenses. The word is alternative punishment. It's important to know that. So community service is to be an alternative punishment for the regular sentence regime we have. So when we talk about punishment here, we are not referring to a parent-child kind of punishment or student-teacher kind of punishment. No, we are not talking about those misconducts and punishments of a discipline of a sort. No, we are talking about punishment that is pronounced by a court after you have been convicted of a particular crime. So as it is now, there are various forms of punishment or sentence that can be meted out to you when you are convicted of a crime. We have number one, sentence to prison terms. So you are sent to prison for 5 years, for 10 years, for 20 years, for a lifetime. Actually, you can be sent to prison for a lifetime. And then we also have fine, sentence to payment of fine as a punishment. You are convicted of a crime and you are told to pay a fine. That is also a form of punishment. And then we also have those offenses that require both payment of fine and prison terms. So that is also there, where you are going to spend some years in prison and also pay some money as fine. Then we also have the offenses that you are going to pay fine or you go to prison. The judge had the discretion to decide which of them will be appropriate for you. That is also there. Now, we are saying that this new bill is providing alternative form of punishment to all these forms of punishment I've mentioned. Remember, we also have a unique class of people called juveniles. Juveniles are people who are between the ages of 11 and 18 and are in conflict with the law. They've committed a crime or are alleged to have committed a crime and they are being taken through the criminal proceedings. They are called juveniles. These people, when they are convicted of a crime, we don't send them to the same prison the adults are kept. We send them to a place called Junior Correctional Center. That is their prison. It's also a custodial kind of sentencing. You are kept in custody for a maximum of 3 years, depending on the kind of offense you've committed. Then we also have those who are called young offenders. Of course, they are people who are between the ages of 17 to 22. So if you are 18 years all the way to 21 years and you have committed a crime and you are convicted, you are a young offender. And the rule is that you are not to be kept in the same prison custody with an adult offender or an adult convict. So you'll be kept in a senior correctional center. And that is where you would also spend your prison terms. So it's still a custodial form of sentencing. Now, what we need to say is that this particular bill or law is not applicable to people who are juveniles. It's only applicable to adults. So young offenders and people who are adults and have committed some kinds of offense we'll talk about can take advantage of this particular law and rather be given a sentence to perform community service rather than go to prison for years. So let's understand some key definitions, particularly two of them. Now, what do we mean by community service? What is that? What is the law's definition of a community service? The law says that a community service is an unpaid public work performed by a convicted person. Unpaid, so nobody will pay for it. But you'll find out somewhere that some revenue generated from the services they provide become part of the funds that will be used to, run the whole secretariat and also run the whole community service initiative. So somewhere, somehow, payment can be involved, but you, the one performing the service, you will not be paid. You are only providing an unpaid public work because you are a convicted person and you are being punished to perform those services. And of course, the law asks that these services cannot exceed 6 months. You cannot be asked to perform community service for more than 6 months. Of course, it could be given in terms of hours. Maybe say you're going to sweep the streets of Accra between 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. every day of the week for 4 weeks. And some of the specific works that qualify to be community service or to be performed as a community service include any physical work to support afforestation. So you can be sent to some cities or towns to go and plant trees for the benefit of the whole community, a physical work that is going to support afforestation or reclamation of land or would help improve the environment, you can be asked to do it. Another example is general cleaning of gutters, streets, and public places. So you can actually be sent to go and clean the marketplace for 3 days or 3 hours each day in the week as a form of punishment. Instead of going to prison and being in company with these hardened criminals, you'll be sent to prison. You will come from your home under supervision of a supervising officer and a probation officer. You'll be sent to that marketplace, sweep the place and clean it up, or clean the gutters, as we are already experiencing flooding because of choked gutters. You will be sent to go clean the gutters. You can also be ordered to be part of a maintenance team that will do some maintenance work at public places, hospitals, schools, and where have you. So if some competitors are going to do some public service work for the government, you can be added to the team to go there. So that becomes your punishment for whatever crime you've committed. We also have construction and maintenance services. You can also be part of construction work for the government. Maybe they are doing the road now, the motorway road is being constructed. You can be asked to work there for 5 months, for 6 months, for 2 months as part of your community service. So it means the government or the contractor will not incur extra cost on labor because you are available as a convicted person to be asked to perform those services for the benefit of the whole community. That is also part of community service. Now, another one which is quite important is specialist or professional services for the benefit of the community. So it is a community service to be asked to provide professional services to the community as part of your punishment. So if a lawyer is convicted of a crime, which is a minor offense, and he is to be sentenced to perform community service, he can be asked to defend certain people in the community as a pro bono services, because that becomes a professional service he is doing for the benefit of the community. What do you think about that? Well, you may be thinking that this community service punishment is for only the poor people, the people who are committing the minor offenses and are just stealing cassava or a bunch of banana for feeding purposes, or there are people who are hungry and need food to eat and go and steal food, right? That's what you may be thinking. But an offense like an offensive conduct which can breach the peace of the society, those offenses are the ones they are arresting people for here and there. You will see your politician Abronia arrested for this offense, and he is not a poor person in society. He can also be sentenced to perform community service. Yeah. So it's not only for the poor. It's not only for those who are hungry and are stealing or engage in petty theft here and there. It's actually for those who commit any offense, which is a minor offense, of which the punishment is less than 3 years or is 3 years or less. It's important to know that. So which offenses are actually suitable for community service as a sentence? Of course, the law is clear that certain offenses are not suitable for it. The general rule is that all offenses for which the sentence or the punishment is 3 years or less are suitable for community service punishment or sentencing regime. So whether those prison terms count with a fine or not, so 3 years with a fine or 3 years without a fine, you qualify to actually have community service as an alternative punishment for prison terms or for payment of fine. Then any other offense of which the punishment is purely a fine or a fine with an option of imprisonment, or those with a fine and a term of imprisonment. So those are the offenses that are suitable for community service as a sentence or form of punishment. So are there some conditions that the judge must satisfy itself with before he or she impose a community service on you as a sentence? Of course, yes. There are a number of them. And the first one is that the judge must be clear in his mind that the following factors exist. The need to protect the public. I mean, if we allow you to go home and go carry out or perform community service under the supervision of a supervising officer and a probation officer, your presence in society, are we safe? The judge must consider all of that. The judge must also consider whether or not the offense you'll be convicted of is prevalence in the society. The judge also must consider whether or not you are someone who can probably be reformed or rehabilitated just when you are allowed to do community service, or you will just go and continue committing more offenses. And the judge must also explain to you well the requirement of the community service you're going to perform and ensure that you have the capacity to perform the services. If you don't have the ability to perform those services, it cannot be imposed on you. So the judge will have to weigh all these factors before finally deciding to give you a community service order. Now, when a judge gives you a community service order, the law requires that a judge gives you a copy of the order and also give a copy of that same order to the probation officer and a supervising officer, because you are going to be working under the guidance or supervision of the supervising officer and the probation officer in the district. So they will be furnished a copy of the order that is directing you to go perform the community service. And the particular community service you're going to perform would also be stated in the order, how you will do it, how many hours, how long, and all of that be part of the community service order. So what happens if I refuse to actually perform the community service I've been ordered to perform? I fail to do it, I breach the terms of the community service order, and I just refuse to do it. What happens? Well, the law is that number one, you can be cautioned once. The court can caution you only once. And number two, the order can be amended to either make it harsher because you are proving stubborn. And of course, the law also permits that the judge varies the order if it's necessary to do so. Depending on what the situations are, the judge can also revoke the order and rather impose a prison terms on you. So these are some of the things that would happen should you refuse or fail to comply with the community service order that's ordered you to perform a particular community service for the benefit of the community. Let me pause here for a moment and ask you for a favor. We've been doing this as a voluntary service to support and educate the people out there to ensure they are well enlightened. All you can do to support us is to subscribe to the channel and like our videos and share them. The more you share the videos and others get to know about it, the more we get the message and education out there, and the more many people get enlightened, and we all become a better society. We believe so much that laws play important roles in our development. So education on matters of law, as we do on this channel, are very crucial and necessary. So don't deprive the next person the opportunity to know what we do here by not sharing the video with them. So please do us a favor, share this video with someone, and don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Now let's get back to the video. So what happens when I'm actually performing a community service as a punishment, and while doing so, I commit a different offense? Of course, the law is that if that offense is also having a punishment of less than 3 years or less, you can be given fresh community service orders in addition to the one you have. But the law requires that in all, you should not exceed 6 months. I mean, someone may be asking this question that I'm already convicted of a crime. Can I switch and take advantage of community service as a punishment rather than prison as I have now? Of course, the law says yes, you can do that. You can take advantage of the community service punishment regime now and apply through the Director General of Prisons to be considered for community service. So this new law has put some institutions and structures in place to ensure that there are people in charge of the implementation of the law and people in charge of ensuring that this community service initiative becomes a success. So we have the National Community Service Secretariat established by this law to operate at a national level to coordinate all the regional community service committees and the district community service committees to ensure that everything the law says is implemented. So this is a good law, I believe. People who have committed certain offenses that are very minor offenses that do not have a lot of financial implication, do not have a lot of fraudulent mind or mentality, and do not cause us so much. They don't need to go to prison. They can actually be asked to provide community services that will benefit us as a community. And I believe you've picked a lesson or two from this video, and I'll be glad that you show us that you've picked a lesson or two by clicking on the like button. That is how I get to know that you like the video and you enjoy it. And also do us a favor by sharing with someone. And don't forget, as always, please subscribe to our channel and be part of the family. We are glad you've watched the video to this point. We thank you and we see you in the next one. Now, if you want to see our full course on ordinance marriages and marriages in general, we are dropping all of that in this video. But if you want to know all that there is about businesses and company registration, watch this one. I'm Godwin Selassie Dapo, and this is Make It Legal.
Make it legal.